Well, that's more exuberant than any welcome I have had. So now what?
Whatever you want to say, whatever you want to talk about. We're excited to have you. Obviously, with TRIO programs, you're federally funded. It's important to make sure you know what we're up to and have going on. And we are all here today, obviously, from institutions throughout the state to work on getting the federal funds here in Oregon, the district. So we're doing the work. I'm just excited to have you and have your support. And we found out that represents a TRIO alumni.
I know.
So it's just we're especially a lot of raise your hand if you're an institution that doesn't have a TRIO grant and you're looking to apply. So
Why? Which institutions are those? It's just
Central Oregon Community College,
Linfield University,
Oregon Coast Community College,
Clackamas Community College, Bushnell University, Eastern Oregon University,
very important.
Pacific University.
Okay. And everyone else.
Already.
We're re-upping.
Yeah.
We're looking to re-up. So first of all, thank you. This program is so critical and important. And, you know, so I'm Val Hoyle. I represent Oregon's 4th congressional district. So from the California border in Curry County, 250 miles up the coast to the top of Lincoln County. So this district was drawn to be a coastal focused district. We used to have 3 congresspeople who represented, you know, different parts of the coast and then inland. But really the issues along the coast, whether it's housing being too expensive, I mean, that's everywhere. It's Eastern Oregon, it's Portland, it's the coast. But, you know, there's no place along the coast that has more than 0.5% vacancy rate. But it's, you know, jobs where we used to have really good living wage jobs, you know, in the timber industry and manufacturing, and those are gone. You know, what is critical and important is figuring out how do we bring those jobs back to provide living wage jobs, and how do we build workforce housing. And then certainly on the coast, the commercial fishing industry is critical. My 2 priorities are focusing on resilience and preventing wildfires. There's a lot of them in my district across our country. And as the climate is just getting hotter and drier, we need to make sure that we're resilient and we're prepared, whether that's for an earthquake, that's for an ice storm, that's for forest fires. And then expanding, deepening the channel at the Port of Coos Bay so that we can have a 3rd deep water container port. On the West Coast, we have Long Beach, we have Seattle, we have other smaller ports, but in the 70s, the Port of Coos Bay was the 3rd busiest port in the world, not the country, but the world, when they shipped lumber. And, you know, since then, they're really, you know, now we used to, I was speaking with the president, which was a big deal, he called about the Port of Coos Bay, you know, because we had, you know, it's like we talked to everyone about it. So I you know, I'm a freshman in the minority. I don't have a lot of power, but I just am persistent and talk to everyone about it. So anyway, he called Senator Wyden, Merkley, and myself, and he said, you know, Coos Bay is like Scranton, right? So we had the timber industry, they had manufacturing, or they have the Rust Belt. And we want to bring, you know, have the South Coast be an economic engine again, right? And provide opportunity. Because I said to him, Mr. President, we used to ship lumber and now we ship our kids because they have to go somewhere else to be successful. And so I know my father was a firefighter and, you know, active in his union, but, and I'm a 1st generation college student and I'm dyslexic, very open about that. So I very much struggled to get through high school, right? Took me 5 years, but I graduated. And I had a teacher that recommended I go to community college, but I didn't come from a family where they would say, you know, what college are you going to? Because I have colleagues in Congress, right? It's so weird to be in Congress with people who are like, well, of course, you're going to go to college. It was, you can go to college or you can get a good job or you can, do whatever. It wasn't an expectation like it isn't in so many first generation students. So, I had a teacher recommend I go to community college and they had the TRIO program for first generation Pell Grant students. And with that, I learned how to study. I learned, just the basic skills that would allow me to be able to graduate and transfer to a four-year college. Because first generation college students drop out at such a higher rate. So with the TRIO program, then they pulled me in. I didn't even go looking for it. They found me. I was able to be successful. It is why I'm in Congress. There was zero chance that I would be here had I not been able to get the skills to learn and to see myself as a scholar. Because people like me, I thought, I'm not a scholar. That's for the academic fancy people, right? But, that's why I am so passionate about making sure that we fund this program. And I so appreciate everything you're doing. I will say, and this is not getting political, this is just a fact. We have the current chair of the Education and Workforce Committee who does not believe that federal funds should be spent in education. Shouldn't believe it. I mean, she told a group of school superintendents, it was K-12, that, I'm just going to tell you, I don't believe federal funds should be used to support education. That should come from, I don't know. It should come from philanthropy and private donations. And yes, that is critical and important. But the fact of the matter is we need to fund institutions of higher education. And as someone that learns differently, I also think that our education system is failing the institutions of higher education as you're not getting funded the way that you need to deliver what you need. It is failing businesses who are looking for workforce, right? Where, for the 50% of jobs that need more than a high school degree and less than a college degree, that's 50% of jobs, right? And what we do in this state and as in many states is we pay for butts and seats, and we are not paying for you to be creative to deliver the certifications that deliver the workforce. And finally, we're failing our students who are graduating with mountains of debt, right? And fighting for $15 an hour. And there's just this disconnect. So if you walk in my office, you'll see this triangle. It's the apprenticeship triangle. When we think of apprenticeship, we think of the trades. And many of you have really great programs to get, young people into the trades. But we can think of that model where you have an industry standard. Could be being an accountant, could be being a cosmetologist, could be being a welder, right? Like a machinist. So you have an industry standard, then paid supervised on-the-job training, right? So especially for a lot of the people in the district I represent and with the students that you all serve, these are not young people or people coming back into school who can afford to study and not work, right? So paid supervised on-the-job training where you can learn. And then the third part is certified classroom instruction, right? Towards that certification. And I think, and I've talked with the governor about this, we need to make sure we are paying not just for butts and seats, not just for degrees. And again, I have a degree. Degrees are important. I don't think you should go to like a heart surgeon who went through an apprenticeship program, like a terrible idea. But it's 36% of jobs need a college degree. 14% you can get with a high school diploma or a GED. But for that 50%, you all are primed to deliver that education that can fit the workforce needs and get young people into the jobs that will allow them to be successful, allow them to thrive, allow them to put money aside, right? So they can buy a home, so they can have a pension, all of those things. And for myself, for people who learn differently, it is important that we deliver education in a way that they can learn. So that starts with making sure we're addressing the needs of the students who don't see themselves as academic, right? For those students who just need that little bit of help and support, like you get with the TRIO program, to get through and be successful. So I'm here, number one, to say thank you. Number two, to say, I disagree with the chair of the Education and Workforce Committee. I believe that we all pay federal taxes, and we should bring that federal tax money back to Oregon for things that matter and build up our community, right? So that's my focus. And three, I think you all are the ones, and your institutions are the ones that can be creative to help make that happen, so that we can lead. We can lead in the country. So whatever my office can do to help, as you're applying for those grants, if we can write letters. I mean, for those of you who aren't in the 4th Congressional District, sorry, but you have congresspeople and our senators who are also very, very committed to programs like this. And I'm always happy to go over and say, hey, this is a letter, we've signed on to this, we think you should sign on to it as well. So utilize our office. Dan Whalen is my state director. And he's the I was like, no, it's Dan. Dan Whalen would be the one who you go to if you have any questions or you need our office to respond. And with that, I guess, I'm not going to repeat myself. Thank you.